So today we're going to do another career video and we're going to look at the career of Alexandre Pato, who recently signed with Orlando City off of free agency. And not only the fact that Pato is a clear example of what happened when a player never lived up to the high potential that he had early in his career, but also what happened when injuries basically ruins what could have been a great career that Pato could have had, and that muscle injuries that he suffered during the 10 and 11 season, and actually multiple muscle injury that he suffered beginning in the 2010 and 11 season, and it continued you into the next 2 years, was really the reason why he never reached his potential, and his career really started to kind of took a downward spiral and never got back to the level that he was doing his first couple of years with AC Milan. I mean, I remember the first couple of years when he was with AC Milan, he was widely considered one of the best striker in Europe, and a lot of Brazilians were very excited that he could potentially be the next Brazilian Ronaldo, and that the torch might have passed during that time when Pato came to becoming such a great player. That was also the time when the Brazilian Ronaldo basically decided to retire from the Brazilian national team and also at club level. And also, this was kind of a sign that Pato was going to take that torch, which little did those people know that was not the case because of, as I mentioned, all those injuries and especially muscle injury that he suffered in the 2010-11 season, and they continue for the next couple of years. But before that, he started his career with Internacional in 2006, and he was actually part of the youth academy between 2000 and 2006 before graduating from that academy and joining the senior team, and played 16 games, scored 7 goals, 1 assist, and registered 1,249 minutes. And that seems it was enough for a lot of these big European teams that was considered Pato to be one of the hottest prospect out of South America. And indeed, AC Milan was the one that was able to acquire him. And they were able to acquire him for $26.4 million, which might not seem a lot nowadays, but back in 2007, yeah, that was a lot of money. Like, if you want to kind of know how much that would have worth in 2020, and if you would do the inflation math, I think that would have been around 40 and $50 million in today's money. So AC Milan was really paying the big buck and hoped that what they heard of him being such a hot prospect is going to blossom to be a great player. And it seemed like that was the case during his first season with AC Milan, where he was able to play 20 games, score 9 goals, 2 assists, and register 1,044 minutes. Before the very next season, he would be starting 42 games, which would be the most that he would play throughout his career. Score 18 goals, registered 6 assists, and played 2,578 minutes. By the way, all the stats is pretty much stats from all the competition that he participated during each of the season. And there were actually times where not only he was a Champions League player, but also he participated in other competition and domestic competition. But in terms of all the competition that he participated in the 08 and 09 season, as I mentioned, he was able to start 42 games and register 18 goals and 6 assists and play 2,578 minutes, and also end up as the top goal scorer for AC Milan in the league, as he was able to register 15 goals that season in Serie A. Now, in the 09 and 10 season, he did play only 30 games, but still was able to score 14 goals and register 1 assist and play 2,433 minutes. But then this is when we get to the 2010 and 11 season, and this is when the downfall really started to begin. Not in terms of the stats wise, as surprisingly, he was actually able to play more games than he had in the previous season. Played 33 games and scored 16 goals and 4 assists, which was also more than he has in his previous year, and was able to play 2,132 minutes. But when you look at the number of times that he wasn't available with this AC Milan team, yeah, there was a lot, as he would be able to spend on the IR list for 95 days. And really, I would say that his downfall and his injury problem all started on September 16, when he started to suffer a tear in the abdominal muscle, which would keep him out for 2 weeks. And then just a couple of weeks later, he would suffer a thigh injury before suffer a a problem with his Achilles tendons, and all those injuries that he had in the 2010-11 season would eventually add up with him missing 95 days. And then in the 11-12 season, those injury problem that he had in the 10-11 season would continue, and it would get worse, because this season he would only played 18 games and only registered 4 goals and 4 assists and only played 869 minutes. He spent 110 days on the IR and suffered multiple muscle injury. Before, in the 2012 and 13 season, he continued to have those injury concerns, spending on the IR list for 74 days with those muscle injuries that he has. And this was only during half of the season, because by the time the winter transfer window happened in 2013, it was pretty clear that AC Milan kind of had enough in terms of his injury. Oh, by the way, he also played 7 games, scored 2 goals and 1 assist, and played 342 minutes during the remaining time he was with AC Milan. But during that point, Milan was definitely fed up with the way that he could not stay fit, and that, at that time, we know that Pato could still be a decent player if he, of course, stay fit. But the key word is if he stay fit, which was something that doesn't seem like was the case, and was pretty much the reason why AC Milan kind of got fed up and feel like they just cannot keep this player that seems to always ends up on the IR list. So they decided to transfer him to another club, and actually decided to transfer him back to Brazil and back playing in the Brazilian Serie A with Corinthians, as Corinthians actually paid about $16.5 million for him during that season. Now, during that season with Corinthians and during his first year back in the Brazilian Serie A, he was able to play 39 games, score 12 goals, 1 assist, and register 2,098 minutes. Before the very next season, when he was spending 2 years on loan with Sao Paulo, he was able to register 10 goals, register 33 starts, and had 6 assists during that season by playing 2,151 minutes. And then the very next year, he was able to play 39 games, 13 goals, 7 assists, and had 2,923 minutes. And this pretty much is kind of a telling sign that maybe those injury problems that he has during his days with AC Milan look like it has gone away, and that maybe this is a time where he can really revitalize his career, and he can really go back to Europe and maybe be back to the peak of his power that he has early in his career during the late 2000s. So basically, Chelsea decided to take that chance, where they think that, with him doing so well in Brazil, we might as well give him another chance and see if he can blossom. Well, it turns out he did not do that whatsoever, because despite the fact that he joined Chelsea on loan on January 29th, 2016, he actually did not play with this team until March, and during the remaining time he was with Chelsea, he only made 2 appearances and scored only 1 goal with no assists, with only 131 minutes, which was by far the fewest amount of minutes that he has spent with one club. Then the very next year, Corinthians would eventually sell him off to Villarreal for about $3.5 million. I forgot to actually write that in the notes part of the section. But during that season, he did play 24 games, but he only registered 6 goals, 5 assists, and was able to register 1,599 minutes during all competition. That is still definitely not way off the amount of goals and assists that he has doing where he was really at his peak of his power with AC Milan. And that was also kind of the point where, well, looks like the second chance of him trying to revitalize his career in Europe is not going well whatsoever. So he decided to do what many of these kind of afterthoughts and kind of mishap kind of European player decided to, or these mishap player that is playing in Europe decided to do, and that of course is go to the Chinese Super League and join the numerous players that decided to get the money that is in the Chinese Super League. And during his first season in the Chinese Super League, which he basically joined Tianjin, he during the time when he was in the Chinese Super League, and Villarreal was actually also able to get a huge sum of money, $19.8 million to be exact. He was able to play 26 games, score 17 goals, 3 assists, and was able to register 2,295 minutes. Before the very next season, he would play 34 games, scored 19 goals, which was actually the most goals that he has scored during his career, registered 5 assists, and had 2,897 minutes. And while that's definitely amazing stat, and maybe this is kind of an example that Pato might have turned his career, you got to remember this is the Chinese Super League. Like a lot of these misfits European player or players that is kind of considered journeyman in Europe. When they go to the Chinese Super League, they basically would always have instant impact in this league, and that a lot of people will they know that even though Pato did well in the Chinese Super League, they were still a little bit skeptical the fact that he could still be back to his peak of his power. So he decided to go back to his home country, Brazil, and play in the Brazilian Serie A again. This time joining Sao Paulo, and during that time he was able to start 20 games, but only register 5 goals and no assists, doing 144 6 minutes that he had played. By the way, he was able to transfer to Sao Paulo for free, and that he actually did not sign a new contract with Tianjin Taiping. But the very next season, after his first year with Sao Paulo, he only played 13 games, scored 4 goals and 2 assists, and only played 933 minutes. Clearly nowhere near the amount of goals that he has scored in the Chinese Super League, and definitely clearly nowhere near as good as he even when he came back to Brazil and played in the Brazilian Serie A. So at that point, Sao Paulo kind of got fed up and said that he's clearly not good enough with the team, which basically now brings us to present day, where they, of course, decided to let him go just a couple of weeks ago, and Orlando City basically take the chance where he is now going to be coming to MLS. Now, obviously, with him coming to MLS, do I think he can be a decent player with this team? Yeah, I think so. I think he could be a decent player, and despite the fact that I know he has a lot of injury issue, most of them came in the during that troubling time in 2010 through 2012 where he suffered multiple injury. But after that, he didn't really suffer a lot of injury during the time where he was with Sao Paulo, Corinthians, Chelsea, Villarreal, and even Tianjin. But that being said, I can understand why some people would think that he is kind of an injury player because of the numerous injuries that he has, even during a spell of time during his career in 2010 and 2012. So yeah, we shall see whether or not if Pato could to stay off the IR, and that if he does perform very well, and as I mentioned with the way that he's only on a $200,000 contract, if he is able to do well with Orlando City, he could definitely get a bigger payday, and that that $200,000 contract that he was able to receive from Orlando City is going to be a big bargain. And even if he does not do well, and even if those injury issue that he had early during his middle of his career kind of came back during his time with Orlando City, at least they can let him go and don't have to worry about the fact that they gave him just such a massive contract and basically have a lot of dead cap that is appeared in their salary cap because they decided to cut the player in the middle of the season. But either way, we shall see how he's going to do with Orlando City, and let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.